Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6. So with me, Frank Pereira on Rajya Sabha television. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses 15th India-ASEAN summit in Manila, criticizes hegemonistic attitude of China towards neighbors in the Asia-Pacific region, calls for joint fight against terror. National Green Tribunal refuses to exempt two-wheelers and women drivers from odd-even scheme, asks Delhi government to run its buses exclusively for women passengers. Wholesale inflation surges to 6-month high at 3.59% in October. Prices of food articles more than doubled to 4.30%. Inflation in vegetables soars to 36.61%. And Kenneth Juster, sworn in as US Ambassador to India, replaces Indian-American Richard Verma as the top American diplomat to the country in the position that was lying vacant since January 20th. Well, at a time when China is refusing to cooperate with India on terrorism, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked ASEAN members to cooperate in its fight against terrorism. He also called them to increase cooperation in regional security and increase trade with India. The Prime Minister made this appeal at the India-ASEAN Summit and East Asia Summit in the Philippines capital, Manila.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 15th India-ASEAN Summit in Manila on Tuesday, criticizing the hegemonistic attitude of China towards its neighbors in the Asia-Pacific region. Modi assured that he will continue support for a rule-based regional security structure. He also said countries need to collectively fight the menace of terrorism.
इस क्षेत्र के हितों और शांतिपूर्ण विकास को ध्यान में रखते हुए नियमों पर आधारित क्षेत्रीय सुरक्षा ढांचे की स्थापना के लिए भारत आसियान को अपना समर्थन जारी रखेगा। हमने अपने देशों में आतंकवाद तथा उग्रवाद से कड़ा संघर्ष किया है। अब समय आ गया है जब हम इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर आपसी सहयोग बढ़ाकर इस चुनौती का मिलजुल करके सामना भी करें और समाधान निकालें।
The Prime Minister said, looking at the importance of ASEAN countries, India will celebrate the Silver Jubilee India-ASEAN engagement as a commemorative summit in Delhi next year on the 25th of January. All ASEAN leaders have been invited to take part in the 69th Republic Day celebration as chief guests.
भारत आसियान डायलॉग पार्टनरशिप के 25वीं वर्षगांठ समारोह का थीम शेयर्ड वैल्यूज कॉमन डेस्टिनी बिल्कुल उपयुक्त है। इस अवसर पर हमने बहुत से कार्यक्रम मिलजुल करके आयोजित किए हैं। मुझे विश्वास है कि इस यादगार वर्ष का समापन भी बहुत ही शानदार रहेगा। 25 जनवरी 2018 को नई दिल्ली में इंडिया आसियान स्पेशल कमेमोरेटिव समिट में आपका स्वागत करने के लिए भारत और मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से बहुत ही उत्सुक हूं। भारत के 69वें गणतंत्र दिवस समारोह के हमारे मुख्य अतिथियों के रूप में आसियान देशों के नेताओं का स्वागत करने के लिए 125 करोड़ भारतवासी इंतजार कर रहे हैं।
Tuesday was a hectic day for the Prime Minister, during which he also addressed the East Asia Summit, in which documents were signed relating to money laundering and countering terror funding and against the use of chemical weapons. Modi also used the occasion to meet the Prime Ministers of Australia, Vietnam, Japan and New Zealand. His other meetings included a one-on-one with the Sultan of Brunei on the sidelines of the summit. ASEAN is a major bloc that holds influence in the Asia-Pacific region and is important for all major powers in the world. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
But in Manila, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a brief interaction with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on the sidelines of the East Asia Summit. MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar tweeted a photograph of the two leaders engaging in a conversation. The meeting comes amid strained ties between the two neighbors over a series of contentious issues like the One Belt, One Road initiative, with Pakistan and Beijing's strident opposition to move to declare Pathankot terror attack mastermind Masood Azhar as a global terrorist by the UN. Details of what transpired during the meeting are still unknown. Well, as the Delhi government withdrew its review petition on the odd-even car scheme, the tribunal asked it to use proper techniques to reduce air pollution. The court also asked the Delhi government to sprinkle water in the most polluted areas of Delhi. Here's a detailed report.
The National Green Tribunal has once again refused to exempt two-wheelers and women drivers from the odd-even scheme, forcing the Delhi government to withdraw its review petition filed before it. Further, the Green Court asked the Delhi government to run buses exclusively for women passengers.
दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट ने यह कहा कि आज की तारीख में हमारे पास कोई जवाब नहीं है, जो हमारी रिव्यू एप्लीकेशन है उसको हम विड्रॉ करना चाहते हैं। एनजीटी ने कई प्रश्न जरूर पूछे या कई मुद्दे उठाए कि ऑड इवन की स्कीम लाने का क्या बेसिस क्या था, आधार क्या था। एनवायरनमेंट के लिए था तो उसमें एग्जेम्पशन क्यों की? क्या ये कह रहे हैं कि टू व्हीलर्स जो व्हीकल्स हैं वो पोल्यूशन कॉज नहीं करते।
The court also asked the state government to give at least one scientific reason as to why anyone should be exempt from the scheme. It also asked the government to choose a spot in the city and sprinkle water from a helicopter to find out whether it is effective in reducing air pollution.
जो आप लोअर लेवल पर स्प्रिंकलिंग कर रहे हैं उससे पेड़ों पे करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा। करना आपको मल्टी स्क्रैपर से या हेलीकॉप्टर से करना है। उसमें भी कई मुद्दे उठाए गए थे, पर आज की तारीख में कोर्ट ने कहा एटलीस्ट आप सैंपल बेसिस पे दो जो मोस्ट पोल्यूटेड है, चाहे वो जहांगीरपुरी है चाहे और एरियाज हैं, वहाँ पर आप इंश्योर कीजिए कि उसकी लेवल तुरंत नीचे आ जाए। और कोर्ट ने ये भी आश्वासन दिया कि जो उन्होंने डायरेक्शंस दिए हैं, अगर अमल होने पर पोल्यूशन नीचे नहीं आती तो एनजीटी अपने ऑर्डर्स वापस ले लेगी।
The National Green Tribunal also questioned the Delhi government's decision of reopening schools, even as the city-state continues to suffer from severe to very poor air quality levels.
सांस लेने में दिक्कत आ रही है, आंखों में मिर्चें सी लग रही हैं और सफोकेशन महसूस हो रहा है। ऐसा मन करता है कि दिल्ली से कहीं दूर गांव में भाग जाएं।
And I find it simply horrible. In fact, I have started a cough, which I didn't have when I came here initially for 2 weeks back. For last 4, 5, 6 days, it has been simply horrible.
The former two editions of the odd-even scheme did not apply to women, two-wheelers, vehicles carrying children in school uniforms and VVIPs. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that achieving good health for all is an important goal of the government. He said that good health is a foundation for furthering social and economic development, but cautioned that in order to do better, several things need to happen. These include higher priority for health in policy making and enhanced resources for preventive and public health measures.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday launched the India State-Level Disease Burden Report prepared by the Indian Council of Medical Research in the national capital. Underscoring the importance of securing good health for the entire Indian population, he pointed out that it is an important goal for the government.
When compared internationally, many health indicators in India continue to be poorer than some other countries at a similar level of development. This implies that while significant health improvements have been happening in India, we could do better and we should do better.
The Vice President also highlighted the importance of family planning in India and suggested giving incentives to those who follow it.
Family planning, we have to educate the people the need for family planning. You cannot, in a democracy, you cannot have any forced thing. But there has to be some incentives for following a family planning also. That should be part of the government policy. Of course, it requires wider debate. There has to be broad political consensus also.
The report by the India State-Level Disease Burden Initiative provides comprehensive estimates for each state from 1990 to 2016 for the first time in India. Along with the technical scientific paper and the open access visualization tool, it provides systematic insights into the health status of each state and health inequalities between the states. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, wholesale inflation surged to a 6-month high of 3.59% in October on the back of rising food prices. The figure was 2.6% in September. It was only 1.27% in October last year. The rise in inflation comes on the back of a rise in food prices, which more than doubled to 4.3% in October. For vegetables, the figure was 36.61% in October against 15.48% in September. Inflation in manufactured products dipped slightly to 2.62% as against 2.72% in September. In the fuel and power segment, inflation rose to 10.52% as against 9.01% in September. Well, the Supreme Court dismissed a petition seeking an SIT probe into a bribery charge against judges, saying that senior lawyers were making irresponsible allegations without verifying facts. Rejecting the petition filed by lawyer Kamini Jaiswal, the apex court said that such a petition had raised unnecessary doubts over the integrity of judges. The top court, however, clarified that no one, not even judges, are above the law. The case refers to the CBI's September 19th FIR that named several people, including former Orissa High Court Judge Ishrat Masroor Kudusu, as the accused in an alleged corruption case. The FIR alleges that the accused had assured some medical colleges favourable orders from the top court. The Supreme Court made it clear that the CBI's FIR wasn't against any judge and neither was it possible to lodge such a complaint against them. Well, news from Gujarat now, where the notification for the first phase of two-phase Gujarat Assembly elections was issued today. The notification signals the start of filing of nominations. The last date for filing nominations is November 21st, while scrutiny will be held the next day. The last date to withdraw nominations is November 24th. Polling for the first phase will take place in 89 of the 182 assembly constituencies on December 9th. 14 districts of Saurashtra, Kutch, South Gujarat will be covered in this first phase. Counting of votes will be taken up on 18th of December. VVPAT will be used in all polling stations. All women-managed polling stations will be set up in one polling station for each assembly constituency, where the entire staff will be women. Well, an army jawan and a militant were killed in an encounter in Kulgam district of Jammu and Kashmir, even as security forces were engaged in a counter-insurgency operation in Pulwama district. A soldier was critically injured in the gun battle with militants at Naubag Kund in Kulgam district. According to the army, the injured soldier later succumbed to injuries. A militant was also killed in the operation. A cordon and search operation was launched by the security in Naubag early on Tuesday morning after receiving specific information about the presence of militants in the area. As the forces were conducting the searches, the militants fired upon them, triggering an encounter. Well, in other news now, the nation marked the 128th birth anniversary of its first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru today. President Ramnath Kovind, the Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Pandit Nehru on his birthday. Former President Pranab Mukherjee, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and other political leaders as well as eminent personalities paid homage at his memorial Shantivan. Considered the architect of the modern India, Pandit Nehru was popular with children who called him Chacha Nehru. The day is celebrated as Children's Day in the country. Well, here's a look now at some of the news from across the country and nationwide. The UPSC has fixed a 7-day time frame for candidates to report mistakes or discrepancies in questions asked in the various examinations conducted by it. As per officials, it is probably the first time that the UPSC fixed a deadline for candidates to make representations on exam papers. President Ramnath Kovind today inaugurated the 37th India International Trade Fair at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. The 14-day annual event is organized by the India Trade Promotion Organization. The theme of the fair is Startup India, Stand Up India. Vietnam is the partner country while Kyrgyzstan is the focus country. This year, the number of business days have been reduced from 5 to 4 days to accommodate more visitors from the general public during the fair. A day after the BJP released its manifesto for the upcoming civic polls, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath kicked off his campaign from the temple town of Ayodhya. The Congress will also release its vision document today. The civic polls, to be held in 3 phases from November 22nd, are seen as a litmus test for Yogi Adityanath government's popularity. The BJP came to power in March after a landslide victory. The Uttar Pradesh government today told the Supreme Court that it was fully committed to protecting the environment and ensuring sustainable development in and around the iconic Taj Mahal and the Taj Trapezium zone. The TTZ is an area of about 10,400 square kilometers spread over the districts of Agra, Firozabad, Mathura, Hathras and Etah in Uttar Pradesh and Bharatpur districts of Rajasthan. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hampi, the austere, grandiose site, was the capital of the last great Hindu kingdom of Vijayanagar. Enriched by the cotton and the spice trade, Hampi was one of the most beautiful cities of the medieval world. Its palaces and Dravidian temples were admired by Arab, Portuguese and Italian travelers. Built between 1336 to 1570 AD, the city was pillaged over a period of 6 months before being abandoned and is now one of the most striking ruins of the world.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Sharai and you watch Law of the Land.
A lot of Australians are working even in Indian sports nowadays, so in the different teams are also having a lot of Australian support staff.
The sports is not something which you perform in the spur of the moment.
We are going to start the National Sports University from this year itself.
The Government of India should consider inviting foreigners or people who are excellent in sports.
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Kenneth Juster was sworn in as the US ambassador to India on Tuesday. Vice President Mike Pence congratulated the new US envoy. He voiced confidence that Juster will build an even stronger partnership that will benefit both countries and their people. 62-year-old Ken Juster replaces Indian-American Richard Verma as the top American diplomat to India. The position had been lying vacant since January 20th. After Verma resigned from the post after the swearing-in of Donald Trump as the U.S. president. Juster's nomination was confirmed by the U.S. Senate unanimously on November 2nd. He happens to be a known entity in India for he founded and served as the U.S. chair of the U.S.-India High Technology Cooperation Group. He was also one of the key architects of the Next Steps in Strategic Partnership Initiative between the U.S. and India. He is expected to be headed for India soon to prepare for the successful visit of Ivanka Trump to Hyderabad later this month. Well, in other international news now, the death toll in the earthquake-hit areas of Iran has gone up to over 450. 14 provinces are among the worst affected. Rescue operations came to a close after government agencies reported that chances of finding survivors were extremely low. Over 7,000 people are among those injured in Kermanshah province, bore the brunt of the damage with over 236 deaths in the town of Sarpol-e-Zahab, about 10 miles from the Iraq border. Thousands of people are sheltering in makeshift camps, battling the cold and in sore need of food and water. Iran has also transferred over 100 severely injured people from its western provinces to Tehran. In Iraq, the quake killed at least 7 people and injured 535, all of them in the country's northern semi-autonomous Kurdish region.
امکانات نبوده، دسترسی نداشتن، نه آبی نه برقی، هیچی نبود.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani toured the areas ravaged by the earthquake and promised that the government would move swiftly to help those left injured and homeless by the disaster. Visiting the Kermanshah province, Rouhani had said that the government will use all its power to resolve the problems in the shortest time.
میخوام به همه آسیب دیدگان اطمینان بدم که دولت با همه توان خودش وارد عمل شده و در کوتاه‌ترین مدت ممکن تلاش خواهد کرد تا این معضل را حل و فصل بکنه.
But here's a roundup now of some other news from across the world in Global Buzz. The battle for a seat in the International Court of Justice between India and Britain ran into a stalemate as neither candidate managed to get the requisite votes in the last face-off. In each of the 5 rounds of elections, Bhandari received about absolute majority in the General Assembly elections as he increased his tally from 115 to 121, while Greenwood dropped from 76 to 68. Now, both the candidates are seeking re-election at the Hague-based International Court of Justice. Taliban fighters attacked some 15 security posts in Kandahar province in Afghanistan, killing at least 22 policemen. A police spokesperson said at least 15 other police were wounded when the insurgents stormed various security posts. 45 Taliban fighters were also killed and 35 others were wounded. UN Chief Antonio Guterres urged Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi to allow Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh to return during the ASEAN summit in the Philippines. The meeting added to global pressure on Suu Kyi to take action to end the crisis for the Muslim minority. Guterres also highlighted the growing number of insurgency in Southeast Asia, including the recent attack in South Philippines by pro-Islamic State rebels, which has devastated parts of a city. The Accountability Court hearing the corruption case against Finance Minister Ishaq Dar issued non-bailable warrants against Dar after he failed to appear in the court. The court also issued a notice to Dar's guarantor for failing to ensure his presence. The Finance Minister, who skipped the previous 3 hearings on account of medical treatment, is accused by the National Accountability Bureau of processing assets disproportionate to his declared sources of income. Dozens of people were killed and wounded after several airstrikes targeted a busy market in the Syrian city of Atareb, west of Aleppo. At least 29 people, including 5 children, were killed and dozens injured when the plane targeted the town. Well, let's shift focus and bring you up to speed with some news from the world of sports in Sports Beat. India's mixed doubles pair of Satwik Sairaj Rankireddy and Ashwini Ponnappa have qualified for the main draw of the China Open Super Series Premier event. They took 2 victories in the qualifying rounds, defeating Taiwan's Li Zhehui and Wu Ti-jung 24-22, 21-7, and the Danish pair of Niklas Nor and Sara Thygesen 21-16, 19-21, 22-20. Both will now face Denmark's pair of Matthias Christensen and Christina Pedersen in the first round of the main draw. India will face Myanmar in the return leg of the 2019 AFC Asian Cup qualifiers football in Margao. India qualified for the continental showpiece after defeating Macau 4-1 in a qualifier last month, and a point against Myanmar will take them to the top position. Myanmar and Kyrgyzstan have 4 points each, while Macau are placed at the bottom of the table without a point. Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup for the first time in 60 years after being held to a 0-0 home draw by Sweden. While Sweden booked a place at next year's tournament in Russia with a 1-0 aggregate win. The Italians had 75% of the ball possession and had numerous opportunities to score a goal but failed to convert the opportunities. Italy never missed the opportunity of playing in the World Cup since 1958, and this was the first time in 60 years that they bowed out of the qualifying race. Belgium's first-time qualifier David Goffin beat world number 1 Rafael Nadal 7-6, 6-7, 6-4 at the ATP finals in London. Nadal dominated the first set, but towards the end appeared to be playing on one leg due to his knee injury. This was Goffin's first career win over the 16-time Grand Slam champion. Well, that's it on this newscast. Do stay tuned for the big picture coming up on the other side of the short break.